Did you have any difficult moments in the seminary? Any toughest moments?
Every time before an exam.
Okay. If you would have not been a priest today, what would you have been? Could you share maybe, some funny moments that you had in the seminary? This podcast is supported by Angie Streets, adding a little sweetness behind the scenes.
Sorry. Rolling in 3, 2, 1. Action.
I look there to end today's.
No problem. Don't worry, I won't treat you as Quint or cockeyed.
Okay. Friends, today we are happy to have with us Father Kenneth Pinto, a priest from the Archdiocese of Bombay, currently serving at Divine Mercy, Binder. Father Kenneth, I think I knew you more personally and more closely when we first met at Our Lady's home during our regency. That is when I got to know about the many talents and your creativity. And Father Kenneth has been the one who has helped me also grow in music, especially the guitar. Did I pronounce it correctly?
You said guitar again.
Guitar.
Like you say chapati.
Chapati.
It's okay.
So from that time onwards, I have known Father Kenneth for a very long time, and he's been the one to guide me. He's also been a good mentor, and I'm pretty sure with all of his talents, all of us are going to have a wonderful listening during this podcast. So, Father Kenneth, it's been a year since you have been a priest. Can you tell us how do you feel?
First of all, I'm extremely humbled by the introduction. It's not that I have taught you or mentored you in any way. As Cardinal always says, we are all co-formators in the seminary. And with Father Ashton too, it's been a great learning, especially with all the tech and the amount of research he does, the amount of hard work he puts in. It's amazing. So yeah, we've got a lot to learn from each other and a lot to go ahead with. Coming back to your question, I forgot your question.
How do you feel after being a priest for almost a year?
It's more than a
More
year
than a
now.
year, more
Yeah,
than a
don't
year.
say almost a year. It's more
Yeah,
than a
it's more
year.
than a year.
But it's been amazing. It's been I don't know. I can't say that I would have imagined this or anything of this sort, but it has been really, really amazing. It's been a fantastic, wonderful journey.
When did the thought of becoming a priest first come to your mind?
Oh wow, this is really tricky. And all throughout my formation, my batchmate Richard, you would know him, Father Richard, now in Sindhudurg, would always keep teasing me because my opening line of my vocation story was always, ever since I was aware that I am Kenneth Pinto, I wanted to be a priest, or I felt inclined to be called a priest. And I'm sure when he watches this, he's going to text me. So yeah, it's quite strange because it's a funny story, and it goes to see like however silly the beginning may be, the Lord may call us through silly ways and make something beautiful out of it. And why I say that is because um, of this fact that I have my patron saint called Saint Pius X. I am born and brought up in Mulund, which is Saint Pius X Church, Saint Pius X School, and we used to travel from Mulund to Malad to my relative's place, and we would cross by RA Colony. And at that time, there was no bridge. There was a Shilfata. There was a level crossing for the railway station. And we would cross by St. Pius College. So my whole thing was, I've done my church in St. Pius X, my schooling in St. Pius X. I'll come to this college. And my parents would ask me, this is a college for priests. This is not a normal college. And I was like, so what? I'll be a priest. The seeds of the vocation perhaps began there, and that readiness to become a priest perhaps began there, apart from the other mysterious ways of God. And I'm glad it materialized into something fruitful and tangible today, which is the gift of the priesthood. I'm really blessed to be.
Mhm. During the course of your formation, or maybe even before, did you ever have any doubts about this vocation to the priesthood? And if you had, then how did you overcome it, or how did you still journey along?
Yeah, that was a question that a lot of us would discuss in the seminary, that, you should have a crisis point in your formative years. But I never felt that. And I felt little like an appendix to the whole conversation whenever it was that I never had a doubt about it. Information. Perhaps I've had enough doubts before and I've wrestled with it because I joined quite late after 10 years of work. And yes, before joining, I did give it a thought many times when I had to decide about my career, when I had to decide about future, my personal goals with business or with work, or with even finding a suitor for marriage. And yeah, marriage seemed wonderful, beautiful as it is. But I'm glad that I was able to deal with those there. But information, no, for some reason, there's never been a doubt. There's just been one experience after the other, which has really strengthened the journey. So yeah, that's an honest answer from me.
Mhm. I think even for me, it would be probably something similar. But I think I can remember that at times there were doubts. But then when I would go back to that point when I first had this thought, then I think, okay, this is for me. This is a vocation for me.
Hmm.
Now, sometimes I know that, people who join the priesthood, they have to leave a lot of things behind. Perhaps their job or perhaps, something else that is of great value to them. What was the hardest, yes that you had to say and give up in order to join this priesthood?
That's a very good question. And in fact, I never thought about this when I had to join because I was pretty much set and I did not really count the cost before joining. I was like, yeah, this is what I'm supposed to do. And the person I am, I'm quite single minded about things when I am into it, when I'm invested into it. And people came and said, Are, tu shadi nahi karega? And at that time, I'm like, okay, but doesn't matter. Um, I was like, fine with it. Someone else came and said, Are, you've got a sports bike. How are you going to do without it? And for orientation, we were asked not to get our bikes. We were supposed to travel by local transport, and I parked my bike in my friend's house. And some friends were like, "Are you give up on your bike or what? How can you do that? And it'd be so difficult for you." And I'm like, "Nah, yaar, that's cool. It's fine. It's just a matter of a year." And they said, "What if it extends?" I'm like, "Big deal. Even if it extends, not a big problem." And I thought that these were difficult questions, only to know that as the seminary life unfolded, the most difficult part was obedience. To just leave my personal will to do things the way I think I would want to do, and rather be open to do the same activity in a way that the community would decide to do, or a senior or a superior would decide to do. As formators, we were told by as seminarians, our formators told us how to go about a few things. And I was like, nah, this doesn't make sense. This is the more practical way. Only to realize that in obedience, I found a much better way, which was perhaps neither mine nor the formators, but a midway through. And that's been the experience throughout, even in diaconate, even in the first year of priesthood. Obedience, which I felt was the most difficult thing to say yes to, became a blessing in disguise. So, yeah, obedience was something that I had to wrestle with, and even now have to wrestle with. But it's amazing.
Yeah. If you would have not been a priest today, what would you have been?
Wow. What if you watch a lot of Marvel? I think. Thoda kam kar. The What If series. But yeah, if I wasn't a priest today, I I think I would continue. I would be continuing my business. I was in a few. I would be teaching music, which was one of the best experiences of my life. I would be designing. I was into merchandising and continuing with Harvest Teas, which was an absolute joy. Perhaps also the other one, the running my dad's enterprise, which he had set up. So yeah, I think life would have been pretty much that what I did for 10 years. Perhaps with a wife and kids. Perhaps no, definitely with. I wouldn't want to live life alone. But yeah, I no regrets because I think the joy that I anticipated receiving an invitation to priesthood, and the glimpse of it I've seen in the 8 years of formation as a brother working over weekends and the year of diaconate and this first year of formation is like sufficient. I couldn't ask for better.
Mm. For someone who is considering joining the priesthood and getting into seminary, can you tell us what is seminary life like?
Seminary life is something like a roller coaster. It is amazing. The moment you press the start button, it only gets over when the ride is finished, and that's amazing. It takes you along, but that's where the risk is also, because it's very easy to be a passenger and just go through the motions. But the point of seminary formation is to also mix in active participation along with going through the ride. And I remember very well my parish priest and now spiritual director, then parish priest when I joined the seminary, the former rector of the seminary, Father Cleo. He said, don't use the seminary like um, a conveyor belt in a big factory, that you go through the motions and this is done, then that is done, then that is done. Wrestle with it. If need be, step out of the conveyor belt, look at what's happening to you, and come back. The whole point is not about just going through the motions, but allowing this journey to totally transform you. And I think those were absolute words of wisdom. And I really enjoyed the whole process because that changed my mindset. Because, see, when we go to school, we think of standard 1 to standard 10. We just have to finish, 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 and then you get then graduation and then whatever. And sometimes we go through life in that same way. And his words before I joined the seminary helped me to realize that the seminary is more like a greenhouse. Greenhouse is where plants are taken care of, where a sapling is brought into existence and is kept in ideal conditions, kept out there in the field, tested, brought back in when necessary so that it conditions better, finally till it is ready to be planted and bear fruit. And that's what we had. Every year of formation, a weekend ministry, Regency, which was a sort of a glimpse of what ministry is going to be like, well before we begin our theology of 4 years, theological studies of 4 years, to really come and find how we can be equipped to serve the people, serve Christ and his mission in the most in the most perfect way that is possible. And yeah, so for me, to tell anyone who's joining the seminary, the point is, look at it as not a roller coaster ride that I mentioned of first, but as a greenhouse where you have to step in, step out, analyze, check, assess, and really get nourished, equipped to bear much fruit.
Hmm. Yeah. And when you mentioned about, roller coaster at the beginning, even I remembered that, yeah, it was very thrilling. It was an adventure and it was actually beautiful. Sometimes in seminary life, there are times where we are going to feel very high, very much happy. And at times, sometimes we feel low. We are at the lowest moments, the toughest moments. Did you have any difficult moments in the seminary? Any toughest moments?
Every time before an exam.
Okay. Yeah, actually, very honestly, yeah.
Yeah, we were going to study so much. And it was a small exam, but we didn't know what is going to come in. But yeah, jokes aside, tough moments, I think wrestling with health at times. I've had some real strange ailments. One that I thought I would no longer remain on this earth and would have my ticket to heaven booked if I would qualify. I should have qualified for it by the grace of God. Definitely, no doubt about it. Um, yeah, dealing with health, dealing with the challenges of health, of family, were difficult moments. Low points, I don't know. I don't wouldn't call them as a low point, but I think they were. I would label them as moments of challenge, moments of struggle. But there was this sort of an exuberance even in those moments because they were exciting. And they would be like, wow, there's some new learning in this. There's some new experience in this. And today, when I look back at those challenging moments, I am like, you know what? Those are really equipping me to connect with people today. Because had I not had those struggles or challenges, I don't think I would be relevant today. Because the seminary life was challenging. Low points were before seminary, and there was this little cringe, but this whole angle that I was talking to my youth in Nazareth about Our Lady of Nazareth Church. Like I was brother Kenneth, and the whole analogy, the whole acronym was broken, and how the Lord has processed it to become something more than broken today. So that's the beauty. You also asked about high points, and if it's high points,
the beautiful things.
yeah, so many of them. But I'd like to push the envelope here and get into a little bit of not mysticism, but more non-physical material experience, more a spiritual experience that needs eyes of faith. I remember the day we joined the seminary. It was a very, very heavy rain. It was a very rainy day. So much so that some of our batchmates had to even wade through hip deep water and come to the seminary. Of course, I didn't have to face much of that. I came from the highways and the road was clear. And it was pouring torrentially throughout the day. And we reached the seminary. We were asked to settle down. Our parents were shown our dormitories. We had a little snack in the refectory. And by then, the skies had cleared. There was no rain. And everything was calm. It was like quiet. Then began our prayer service along with our parents, after which the parents would leave and we would remain alone in the seminary. And after a long rainy day, there was silence. There was nothing. There was just calm, and nature was very clean, and all. And Father Jervis, who was our moderator for orientation, began the prayer service and took the reading from the Gospels where Jesus calls his first disciples. And he went through, he proclaimed the reading and said, "We are going to wait in silence for some time now and imagine Jesus walking through the streets of Bombay and calling these young men." We were about 10 or 11 of us who walked into the seminary that day. How would Jesus have called them? Let us just contemplate. And he remained silent. How would Jesus call them? And how they have responded. The moment he began, he ended and sat down, there was a loud thunder in the sky. And that thunder lasted for eternity for me, but it was there for a good half a minute or so, if at the least. It was a substantially long time of thunder. And for me, that thunder was like an affirmation of Jesus, of God, calling us to, especially for me, I took it as a very personal experience, like, because I did not hear any booming voice calling me to the seminary. It was just a rather foolish, childish first call, which remained over the years and with some amount of discernment reached a conviction to join. But that moment was like God speaking in the thunder. And it was so beautiful. My eyes were filled with tears. And even today, that moment is so, so engraved in my mind to the very finest detail that I still remember how beautiful an experience that was. And after that was over, after that long thunder, it did not rain for a long time. There was no more thunder, nothing. For the next 3-4 hours or more till night, when it rained, it was silence and nature. So for me, that particular moment of the thunder was an amazing spiritual experience, which I'm saying it's such a privilege to have experienced. We may call it coincidence, we may call it whatever, but for me, it was a deep spiritual experience, which I'll never forget till I reach the grave.
Yeah. See, in the seminary, I think there are a lot of funny moments, and I remember. I think I've been the one to laugh a lot in the seminary.
Yeah, your laugh is viral in the seminary.
Yeah.
You got an award for the craziest laugh.
Yeah.
And it was not this laugh.
It is nothing.
It was not this laugh.
Now it's coming.
It'll come if I poke you a little bit more.
So, ready? So fast, huh?
Funny moments. My God. Now, when you ask me, nothing really comes to my mind. I remember this one night. Again, this was in orientation. We shared the room. We were in a dormitory. And I'd gone to pray from in the chapel, my night prayer. And my roommates bolted the door and went off to sleep.
Yeah.
And I finished my prayer and I came to the room. It's not opening. I turned the key. It's not opening because it was bolted. And how much ever I called out did not work. I didn't have my phone to call them. And I'm like, what now? And since there was no response, I said, chalo, let's go and sleep in the chapel. And that was the only other place available. And yeah, I spent the night in the chapel once. And I found that really hilarious. And the next morning, my batchmates were so apologetic, like, oh no, how did we do such a thing? And this, I'm like, chill, yeah, nothing. I felt like Samuel, Only thing, I didn't hear a voice of God waking me up and talking to me. But remaining all was like a Samuel experience, which is cool. So it was a fun experience. It was quite wacky. I'm glad I woke up in the morning on time because I had no alarm to wake me up and nothing of that sort.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was quite a hilarious experience.
This is new. I never heard about this. But nice fun, huh?
I didn't want to put them in any trouble, so
Yeah.
now I can talk about it.
Can you take us to your first mass and tell us, what did you feel, and can you describe how was it? Could you share what are the joys of priesthood that probably no one talks about? As a priest, what does a typical day in your life look like?
Oh wow, cliche questions which have very difficult answers.
Yeah.
A typical day in the life of a priest is